Hey there, Parker Reed here, and welcome to PR Media, your home for everything movies and music through my eyes. And today we have a review of the fourth studio album by the 1975, Notes on a Conditional Form. Notes on a Conditional Form is the fourth studio album by indie rock powerhouse, the 1975, and I would say they're more of an indie pop band than an indie rock band nowadays. Their only big rock single before People came out was Sex off their first self-titled record, and they don't like to classify themselves as a rock band anyway, so I'm gonna say indie pop, right in that sphere, alternative. You get the picture. This album follows up their third studio release, A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships, their second studio album, I Like It When You Sleep, For You're So Beautiful, Yet So Unaware of It, and their self-titled debut record. This is probably their most diverse work of music. If you listen to the song People, then the instrumental track What Should I Say, and then the closing track Guys, you'll see just the wide gamut that the 1975 has to offer on this record. And at 22 songs, they're definitely offering a lot of music. And this album clocks in at over an hour long, so it's a real musical journey from start to finish. The history of this album is much affected by the coronavirus. I know I'm probably gonna get demonetized now that I said that, but it was supposed to originally come out in February, but was obviously delayed as the pandemic was kind of sweeping around the nation and the world. Then it was supposed to come out in April, and then finally it came out in May. It was supposed to be accompanied by a tour supported by Phoebe Bridgers, and I was supposed to go to the show at the XL Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, but unfortunately that show was just first delayed and then just outright canceled, as they didn't want to try and schedule a world tour in a country that they weren't from over a year out. They didn't know what the logistics of that were going to look like, which was understandable, but it kind of put a damper on this album for me. Because I've been a big fan of the 1975 for a long time. I've seen them on every album cycle since they came out back in 2013. And so it was a disappointment not to be able to see these songs live, because this album is really solid. But it did delay me listening to the whole record just because I was a little bummed out and I didn't want to be reminded all the music I wasn't going to see live for quite a while. But luckily, leading up to the release of this record, there were a large number of singles, and all these singles were diverse in their offerings, and they all offered something different that really engaged me. One of those was the track A Frail State of Mind, and that was almost a near instrumental track, but they performed it on a few late night shows, and that really showed almost an EP era level of the 1975. And then they had songs like If You're Too Shy, Let Me Know, which is almost a throwback to 80s pop music that really gets your hips moving. And it's one of these standout tracks. I think it'll go over really great live, because they were playing it at some of their shows before the pandemic hit and pretty much canceled live music for the next year or however long it sticks around. And the song People was the first offering we got from this album. And this is the hardest the 1975 has ever gone. This is a rock song with singer Matt Healy screaming his head off. And it's kind of jarring because it follows up the opening track, which is a spoken word to an instrumental song by Greta Thunberg, who is the environmental rights activist. And that's one of the areas in which this album falters for me. Not necessarily in the music that's on it, but some of the factors surrounding it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm for saving the planet, and I think that's a great thing that the 1975 are trying to advocate for. But when your album opens up with 4 minutes of pretty much Greta Thunberg preaching to the choir about how we need to save the environment, how we need to save the world and stop our emissions of greenhouse gases, it's a bit cringeworthy coming from a band that performs live and has so much equipment using so much energy. And even with the album's marketing, they put out the vinyl and CD releases in this kind of pseudo-like cardboard material so that you could easily recycle it. But I don't know if I want to recycle something that I paid 40 bucks for, and I paid 15 bucks for the CD, so I think that was just kind of like, oh, look how great guys we are. It kind of rang hollow for me, and I don't really like to be preached at by rock bands, so that faltered it in my eyes a little bit. Two other songs on this album that really stand out are The Birthday Party and Jesus Christ 2005, God Bless America, featuring the one and only Phoebe Bridgers. These songs are kind of in the vein of typical the 1975, but they're really catchy, they're moody, they're acoustic bass, and they really show the depth of lyrics that the 1975 can throw out there. That's one of the reasons I like this band so much, is they are so thought-provoking. And seeing Phoebe Bridgers pop up when the 1975 usually doesn't do features was a really cool addition to the album. Me and You Together song is almost a throwback to 2000s era rock music and alternative rock pop radio. It's just a fun song to kind of roll your windows down and have a good time to. It's not a thinker, it's just basically look how in love we are. And I really enjoy this song. People going in, they thought it was a little by the numbers, but overall I think it's a great song. It'll go over really well live. And it's a good addition to the second half of this record, which is where it starts to falter a little bit. After the 16th song, if you're too shy, let me know. We have a kind of a list of pseudo instrumental tracks with just a little vocals added. We got Playing on My Mind, Having No Head, What Should I Say, Bags Not Net, and Don't Worry. That's a bit too many instrumental tracks, and they kind of get lost in the fold a little bit. What Should I Say being the standout of all those. And leading up to their last track, Guys, which is a tribute Matt Healy to the rest of his bandmates, it drags a little bit because at over an hour long this record can feel a little bit taxing. So I would have eliminated one or two of those instrumentals, and I think this track list would have been all the better for it. And just like all three other the 1975 songs, this album is chock full of instrumentals that pad out the track list and also serve as kind of filler moments in between better songs. We have music like The End, Music for Cars, Streaming, Then Because She Goes, Roadkill. All these songs are 3 minutes or less, and they tend to just kind of feel like filler material. And I don't know why they feel the need to do that. This album easily could have been 12 or 13 songs and been more succinct and more to the point. But the 1975, since they started, they like to have their big, long, epic records. And at some point you have to feel like that contributes to their popularity. So I won't knock it for that, but I might hit the skip button once or twice during this album. Now, comparing this record to the rest of the 1975's discography is really hard to do because every album is so different. The first album was an alternative rock, indie rock masterpiece with a lot more single power than the rest of the albums. Their second album was more methodical and had a bit more to offer musically. Their third album was kind of in that same vein, kind of a mix of the first two. And this album runs the gamut. You won't find one single song that will feel like it's in the same genre as the others. And that can be both a positive thing and a negative thing sometimes, depending on the mood you're in. But overall, Notes on a Conditional Form is a fun album to listen to, and I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching my review of the 1975's Notes on a Conditional Form. You have watched PR Media. If you want to, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when new videos come out. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to keep supporting physical media. See you next time.